Hello, everyone. This is Cody Lee of BlackCatBooks.org, author of I, the Dragon, Cruel and Beautiful Rabbit Hole, King Tale, Lauren Frey, Grim Clover, and the upcoming Jaw of the Dragon. I have finally finished Wraithblade, a book I've been talking about on stream for the past several months, it feels like. This is one that I've bought on my Kindle. Actually, I got it on Audible first, listened it all the way through, found it spectacular, actually. One of the best books I've listened to in a long time. Probably still my favorite audiobook of all time. Great delivery, lots of fun, but it was one of those books that I listened to while I was like doing other things, so I felt like I didn't really pick up on a lot of the nuances and stuff like that. So I decided to like just read the actual book and start from there. So this is technically the second time I finished this. And I have to say, I honestly feel like the audiobook might be better because all of the problems this book has, I don't know, like I feel like I kind of overlooked them when I listened to the audiobook because the audiobook has such an over the top delivery. Like I think the audiobook really sells the story itself because reading the actual book, it feels like there are things you can talk about that are badly done and not all that well executed and things that could have been done better and like serious crippling problems when it comes to like the story and the progression and stuff like that. But like it's still so much fun. And that's kind of my feeling towards this is that like this isn't like the best book in the world or anything. This isn't like the greatest book of all time or something. It's just something that I personally enjoy. Like enjoy a lot actually. 5 out of 5 stars even taking into consideration all the problems I have with it. So yeah, what is the story about? The story is a dark fantasy about a wandering swordsman named Connor who stumbles across an assassination attempt on his local king. He's teleported across the country into the middle of nowhere and has been hunted down by like 12 people, led by this this duke, this noble named Otmund. And Connor, has a brief interaction with the king and manages to acquire his power, the secret to his success, the Wraithblade, the Wraith King, like this ghoul, this specter, this wraith of some legendary tyrant from ages gone past who gives him incredible powers. And so, like, Connor ends up killing all the assassins and drives away Otman. And essentially, the entire plot is about the assassins who were trying to seize the Wraithblade from King Henry, trying to seize it back from Connor. So it's essentially a dark fantasy, like very very berserk like, where well, somewhat berserk like. Again, this is kind of my problem with the book is that it it tries to present itself as dark fantasy with like, oh man, all these assassinations, all this serious shit, all that. This world is a terrible place to live in. But then like there are aspects to it that kind of emphasize, oh yeah, it's good to have friends. It's good to have family. It's good to have like a home or a place to go back to and stuff like that. Like that kind of kill it for me. Like it's so frustrating, honestly, how close the story gets to being like legitimately great dark fantasy, especially when characters are standing around like monologuing about their motivations and stuff like that. Like Otman, the antagonist, is probably one of the antagonists is probably the best example of this, in which he has a lot of connections with the noble families of the land of Saldia, the land in which the story takes place, and he has he's vying for the throne, trying to do all this stuff, manipulating all these people, and like when he's by himself, like talking about it, like thinking to himself about it, like it really sells it as a dark fantasy setting. But then when he interacts with like other people, it kind of it doesn't really fall apart, but like I think what the author is trying to go for is that like it's trying to present Ottman as being out of his depth because there are plenty of people out there that are more competent than he is. You have like uh you have the Starling family. You have like the people from Nethervale. Like it seems like the story wants to have this like big Game of Thrones style world to it that's like really fleshed out and has a lot going on. And sometimes it works really well. Sometimes I get really into it, and sometimes I just kind of I don't quite roll my eyes at it, but but like it just seems very amateurish. And I don't mean that in a bad way because of course I have this kind of problem too. But like when it comes to like establishing character motivations, that's the big thing that I think really kills it because there are characters in this that have like the wrong idea about what's going on and stuff like that, and they allow themselves to get manipulated, and then they sort of realize that like some shit is going on, and then they immediately like and then they like find out something's going on, and then they just I don't know, continue with their investigation anyway. Like there are moments like that. There are moments like this where you feel like there are when characters interact and they're supposed to be finding out more about the world and the plot and what's going on and with other characters, and like it just the story wants you to think that like people don't these the story wants to get from point A to point B, and it really struggles like in the progression to there because like point A is awesome and point B is awesome, but when it comes to like going on the journey, like getting to know these people, like beginning to trust them, beginning to like form real relationships with them, like having like compelling sort of interactions, like both friendly and like antagonistic. Like when it comes to that kind of thing, like I feel like the author really struggles, honestly. And it's a damn shame because when we get to like the major plot points, when we get to like the stuff that really works, like this is a lot of fun. I really enjoyed this one in spite of all the problems. I would still highly recommend it. But like again, there are rough aspects to this. There are things that could have been done better. I think I don't know, man. I I say that, but when I look back on like everything I read, I enjoyed every moment of it. Like it might have been a deliberate stylistic choice to portray things this way, and I think it was. Yeah, I think there's really not all that much to criticize about. Again, I'm just nitpicking. I'm just like expressing my thoughts when it comes to this kind of thing. But this was a great book. I really enjoyed it, and I highly recommend you check it out.